Now, question 4. What I'm going to say about this is that it's okay at this point if you don't get a question like this, if you are finding the wording confusing, if you're finding what you're being asked confusing. I'm not saying you never have to be able to understand that, but this is something that you can build up over time as you get used to seeing more and more of these styles of questions. I am going to go through it and I'm going to explain where everything's coming from. But what's the expectation on you guys at this point? Would we really expect you to just sit down with a question like this with no diagram and be able to answer it? It's a manipulating the formula question, and the answer is no. So I'm going to include the solution for you because it's important that within another 2 years you'd be able to answer a question like this. But usually even the most difficult questions on the Leaving Cert, they'll draw a diagram for you. As it is, we'll start by drawing a diagram to describe what's happening. So they've asked us to write a formula for the radius of a sector of a circle in terms of the perimeter of the sector and the angle theta radians subtended at the center. Okay, so a whole bunch of words, and what do we understand there? They want a formula for the radius of a sector of a circle. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a sector of a circle. Okay, so the sector of a circle will have 2 radii, theta at the center. Where did I get theta from? They asked us to call the angle theta. That's what this thing here is all about. Subtended at the center just means the angle at the center of the circle. They want us to call that theta. And I've also marked in L, which is the arc of the sector, because they asked me to talk about the perimeter of the circle. Now there's a fact that we know that when theta is in radians, so you'll have seen this in your notes, that L is the radius multiplied by theta when that angle is in radians. And in the question, they asked us to put the angle in radians, okay? So what else did the question ask? It talked about the perimeter. So let's write down the perimeter. The perimeter P is the radius plus the radius plus the arc. And that's twice the radius, but the arc is the radius multiplied by the angle from this formula here. So that's the perimeter. What else do we know? Are we done? They asked us to manipulate this formula. They want us to change this formula to isolate R equal to everything else. So I'll write my formula the other way around. 2R plus R theta is equal to the perimeter. And now we know what to do. We need to get R on its own, so we factorize it out. 2 plus theta equal to the perimeter, and then I divide across by 2 plus theta in order to get R on its own, and it's the perimeter divided by 2 plus theta. That's the answer to that question. I expect what happened when you read that question for an awful lot of you was that you didn't know what you were being asked to do. So I want to reassure you that almost all the time you would be given a diagram with this, but the first step in any area and volume question is to draw the diagram even if you don't know it yourselves, and then write down what you do know. They talked about perimeter. What do you know about perimeter? So write that down. Okay, these 4 questions are worth putting into your notes booklets on extra paper. They are very much the types of questions that come up at higher level with functions and area and volume together. So they would be very important exemplars for you to have. I'm not going to give you any extra notes to do today, except going through these 4 examples and understanding them as best as you can. But of course, please talk to me if you are feeling lost about parts of them. Please be specific about which question you're stuck on and which part of it you're not understanding. Even if it's, I don't understand how you started that, it doesn't matter, but please tell me where you're getting lost on a question when you have a question. Okay, thank you.